Every spring, the cherry trees all over Japan burst into bloom. Everywhere you look, there are petals in elegant, subtle shades of pink, and they scatter in the wind to create a dreamy atmosphere. The cherry blossom is regarded as an iconic flower of Japan. And in fact, for many Japanese, it's synonymous with the word flower. More than 300 different varieties of flowering cherries grow around the country. Cherry blossoms have long been used as a design element in various ways. These lacquered bowls are decorated with blossom motifs. And here, a lacquered box for storing letters. By depicting cherry blossoms on everyday objects like these, people have managed to suggest and enjoy a sense of spring. Since ancient times, people have admired all kinds of flowers and composed poetry inspired by them. It was around the 10th century that cherry blossoms became prominent as one of the motifs of spring. They are referred to in many of the narratives and poems written around that time. It's because the cherry blossoms fall that they're beautiful in the eyes of all. Nothing is eternal in the world we live in. The aristocrats of that time saw their own mortal lives reflected in the cherry blossoms that bloom and fall all too quickly. After the start of the Edo period 400 years ago, blossom viewing caught on as a form of entertainment for ordinary townspeople. When the cherry blossom season arrived, people would gather, taking food and drink with them, and have boisterous parties. For some people, this was a way to vent their daily frustrations. In the middle of the 19th century, a new variety of flowering cherry called Somei Yoshino was created. It was distinguished by the austere beauty of its large whitish flowers. Somei Yoshino cherry trees only bloom for a particularly short period of time, and their petals seem to start dropping almost as soon as they've opened. This dovetails perfectly with the traditional Japanese aesthetic sensibility that finds beauty not only in blooming flowers, but also in the way they flutter to the ground. In the traditional Japanese worldview, the transience of life is felt through the changing seasons. At the same time, the aesthetic of understated beauty is valued highly. For over 1,000 years, people in Japan have perceived the cherry blossom to be the mirror of their sensibility.
Stuart,
Yeah.
do you have any comments?
Well, it was interesting to hear about the long history of blossom viewing parties. When I was a university student, I saw a slide of Ueno Park at Hanami time in a lecture by a famous geographer. I was amazed there were so many people under the cherry blossom.
Ah, yes. Ueno Park has always been one of the most popular cherry blossom viewing spots in Tokyo.
Yep.
In Britain, do you have any events similar to Japan's Hanami parties?
Not really. We're a nation of gardeners, so many people visit famous gardens to appreciate roses and other flowers. But the bushes or trees are generally not in long lines or concentrated in some area, besides private orchards. So there's more variety than with the cherry trees in Japan.
Ah, I see.
We don't have a custom of having parties and eating and drinking under the blossom of flowering trees.
That's a pity. It's such a delight to picnic outdoors around the time when the cherry blossoms are in bloom.
Well, yes, if there aren't too many other people doing it at the same place. And the problem is that around the beginning of April, there are often rainy days and strong winds, so the blossoms fall all too fast. I think that's rather mottainai. I wish the blossoms stayed on the trees longer.
My perception is rather different. One of the charms of cherry blossom is that it's such a fleeting thing, blooming only once a year and lasting only a week or so. That's why everyone gets excited about Hanami parties. And there is also the sense of the transience of life.
But to me, Hanami seemed to be just an excuse for a boisterous alfresco party. Cherry blossom doesn't particularly make me feel the transience of life, but rather the beauty of spring and good things to come.
I can understand that. But as the poem in the video clip suggested, the Japanese have strongly felt a sense of the transience of life since ancient times. If the cherry blossom lasted for, say, more than a month, I don't think it would have been appreciated so much.
Well, that's an interesting point. There's also a sense of transience when the pieces of sushi gradually disappear from a splendid plate.
Aha, I can share that feeling when I see the sake gradually disappearing from my Ishobin bottle.
So, having said that, perhaps it's time to take our sushi and sake and head for the nearest blossom viewing spot.
And enjoy a real Trad Japan experience.
Precisely.
言葉の裏にある文化の違いを考えていきましょう。今日のテーマは桜とバラです。日本の国花とも言われる桜、イングランドの国花バラ、これら2つの花がそれぞれの文化にどう根付いているかを探ってみたら、そこに美意識の違いが浮かび上がってきました。
桜は日本で最も親しまれている花の一つです。久方の光のどけき春の日に静心なく花の散るらんという古今和歌集の歌にも象徴されるように、平安時代以来和歌の世界では花といえば桜を指しているほどでした。また満開の美しさもさることながら、桜が散る姿に独特の美意識を抱いてきたのも日本人の特徴と言えるでしょう。現代のポップミュージック界でも桜を題材にした歌が数多くヒットしていますが、その多くが満開の桜だけでなく散る桜も表現していることに、1000年来の日本の美意識が溶け込んでいるような気がします。一方、西洋で長い間花の代表格とされてきたのがローズ、バラです。古今の詩や歌詞に登場する回数も他の花に比べて目立って多いと言えます。中でも特徴は咲いている間の美しさやかぐわしさが強調され、愛や美の象徴として表現されることです。古代ギリシャでは愛と美の女神アフロディーテと関係づけられていましたし、有名なロミオとジュリエットのセリフ A rose by any other name would smell as sweet、 バラは他の名で呼んでも良い香りがするというものもその特徴を表していると言えます。バラが散る姿に美を求める感覚は少なく、日本の桜とは対照的な愛され方と言えるでしょう。花一つを比べてもめで方が異なり、文学や詩歌の中での表現のあり方も変わります。それらを比較して日本と西洋の美意識の違いを考えてみるのも興味深い言葉の学習と言えますね。